What's up, guys? I'm back with your UFC 308 predictions and breakdowns for the whole card this week. We're coming off a shitty week. We lost 235, but we still do have our big-ass parlay out there that'll probably push us to profitability. We just need Ankalaev left. We hit Johnny Evelyn and Raffael on stats. So yeah, that pays out $750, which would be nice. We lost 235 this weekend. Yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it. So we have Bruno Silva versus Ismail Naurdiev. Silva's plus 105. Ishmael is negative 125. Bruno Silva is not very good at all. He is 1-5 in his last 6 fights. He is a well-rounded guy, but nothing very impressive at all besides his toughness and his chin. Ismail is on his second UFC stint, as he is 1-3 in his last 3 fights to get back in the UFC, which makes no sense at all. Ismail is one of those guys who's a striker with lots of power. He has been finished in his last 3 fights that he lost on the regional scene, and I'm fully believing the UFC wants to get Bruno Silva a win here. I'm taking Bruno Silva plus money, as I believe this is a big step down in competition for him. I know Bruno Silva hasn't been great, so obviously, as you can see, I mean, he lost to good guys. It's not like he's losing to ducks, right? His losses in the UFC: Chris Weidman, Shara Magomedov, Brendan Allen, Gerald Mearshart, Alex Pereira, all good guys. Ismail Naurdiev is not one of those guys, like, at all. I mean, you just look at him and look who he's beat. See, he lost. Who the fuck is this guy? I've never heard of this guy in my fucking entire life. He lost to him by decision. He beat absolute ducks. He obviously lost to Sean Brady. Yeah, I mean, I just have Bruno Silva, as he, in my opinion, is the better fighter, has the better track record. I know he hasn't been great. That's the argument on him, but either has fucking Ismail. He's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. What is he, 4-3 in the regional scene in his last 7? Bruno Silva, I guarantee you, would be 7-0 if he fought in the regional scene right now. Give me Bruno Silva, probably by finish, but just stay tuned to my Patreon. I'll let you guys know what I think later on in the week. Aslan versus Raffael Cerqueira. I don't know how to really say that name, I'm being honest. Cerqueira or something like that. So I'll be honest with you guys straight off the bat. I don't know much about Raffael. I'll just say Raffael, because there's not a lot of tape on him. A lot of his fights are really quick finishes. But yeah, I'll get to the breakdown. Aslan is a very powerful striker who has very real cardio issues. He is coming off that debut win over Anton Turkalji, where he avenged his one and only loss in MMA. Raffael is making his debut, and he has been a straight finisher on the regional scene, finishing 10 of his 11 fights. I don't think he is all that great, to be honest. He's another one of those fighters who also has cardio issues and can be pressured and will be pressured in this fight. I believe Ibo is going to pressure heavy in this fight early and find a pretty quick finish. Giving you Ibo Aslan in this one, but I'm not very confident due to the lack of knowledge of Raffael Cerqueira. If one of you guys could tell me how to say, I'm terrible with pronunciation with some of these names. Yeah, I would fade it. I wouldn't touch this fight, but if you had to, I'd go Ibo Aslan and probably the under. Okay, so this fight just popped up on me. I didn't even realize this was the fight till right now. So Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. Carlos Leal was in one of my safety parlays for, what was it? His last fight. LFA, that's right. I'm blanking on the style of fighter he is right now. I don't remember completely. I don't know why I'm blanking so hard, because I've watched him fight. I know who he is. He was my most confident pick on the LFA card. I don't know if he's stand-up or not. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to go with Rinat Fakhretdinov here. He's a nasty wrestler from, was he from Russia? Is Moscow? Is that where he's from? Moscow. He's beaten some good people. He has really legitimate wrestling. He's good. He's beaten Brian. He mauled Brian Battle 30-27. We got him at negative 140, which I thought he should have been negative 500 in. Kevin Lee, he dominated. The Zaleski fight, he gassed out in the 3rd round. Third round was, I think, a 10-8. That's why it was a majority decision. A majority draw. I don't know why I said it like that. And then obviously he beat Nicholas Dalby, which was by split. I don't think Carlos Leal's as good as some of these guys he's already beaten. Take this with the grain of salt, though. Like, I'm pretty confident Rinat Fakhretdinov wins this fight. Let me do some research on Carlos Leal for you guys, and then I'll have it in my Patreon. Yeah, so don't touch it yet. Just pay attention to my Patreon, or in the later in the week, I'll have my most confident picks out. So just pay attention to that. So Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. It says it right here. In Victor Hugo's nicknames, Victor the striker, Hugo versus Farid, ferocious. Basharat, ferocious wrestler versus a striker, right? Although he does have grappling. So Farid, it says he's negative 500 here. I just looked, he's all the way up at negative 650. I was going to jump on him at negative 450, but I don't think I'm going to be playing the chalk much here this weekend. I think I'm going to stick to a lot of overs, like Declan insisted on doing. I have some fighters I do like that I will also play, but it's going to be a mixture. Not really much heavy chalk this week. So this seems like a match made in heaven for a prospect in his hometown. Farid Basharat is the better of the two Basharat brothers, who has amazing wrestling and some pretty solid boxing. He is coming off a very good win against Taylor Lapalus, who is a very good striker with some really good grappling defense. Farid's striking actually looked really good in that fight as well. Victor Hugo is coming off his UFC debut where he won by decision. Hugo is a solid grappler with some solid striking. As we've seen in his last fight, though, once he got taken down, he was controlled throughout that whole first round. And I want to say he also gave up his back. So as we've seen in his last fight, once he got taken down, he was controlled throughout the whole first round, although he went on to defend 12 of the 13 takedown attempts. Quite frankly, Farid is a way better wrestler and is just way stronger than Hugo's last opponent. Farid should be able to get this fight to the ground whenever he wants, and when the fight is not on the ground, his boxing and cage control will be too much. Expect a 30-27 decision here for Farid Basharat in his hometown. He's just better. His last opponent took Hugo down pretty easy. I think it's going to be the same for Farid. Just a much stronger wrestler. It's in his, they want him to win in front of that crowd. So give me Farid Basharat here. But I also like the over. I want to say it's negative 275 for the over 2.5. I feel like that's pretty safe, and that's value instead of taking this dude at negative 650. I know it says negative 500 here, but like I said, it's negative 650 now. All right, so we got Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett here. This one's going to be pretty short and simple. I'm going to get to my reading and just tell you what I think. Kennedy is a fighter I never want to touch. He is a humongous fighter and the way better fighter in this matchup where there is no way he should lose. That being said, in his last fight versus OSP, he shit the bed. And I know OSP has a history being good. Barnett doesn't. There's a big difference there. But yeah, Kennedy will just be the way better fighter here. Chris Barnett is an exciting, short, and chubby heavyweight that is a fan favorite. He is now 38 and has no good wins in the UFC, also taking 2 years off. Kennedy should smash this guy and find the KO finish very quickly. So I like the under 1.5? I like that. And then Kennedy should... I hate doing this because Kennedy should almost, I'm almost positive he wins this fight. Chris Barnett's not Dustin Jacoby. He's not OSP. Kennedy should almost be a lock here. I'm just scared to touch him just due to the fact that he shit the bed against OSP, but I know you can't be worried about shit like that because, yeah, give me Kennedy and Nzechukwu here by finish. Abus Magomedov versus Bruno, the Hulk, Ferreira. So this is a pretty good fight. I like a lot. Abus will be... I know it says he's from Germany. He's technically the hometown guy here, though. Abus is a very talented fighter, but has shown very real cardio issues. He's a striker with a long reach and can wrestle pretty good if he needs it. He dominates guys that aren't at the top, as his only 2 losses in the UFC are Sean Strickland and Caio Borralho, who are both elite level guys. Ferreira is a very powerful and fast striker who has finished all 12 of his wins. He is 3-1 in the UFC, with his only loss being a KO loss to Ruzi Boev. I do think Abus will be good enough in this fight to pick up the win by using his well-rounded game and really taking over rounds 2 and 3. I think Ferreira, if I had to guess, I would say he has cardio issues because he's finishing everyone early, right? I know you guys might call me crazy. I don't ever think Abus Magomedov is going to be a top guy. I just think he's good enough to beat guys like Bruno Ferreira. So give me a boost here at negative 150. I feel like he should win this fight. and the negative 150 will look like value. But we'll see what I do with this fight, to be honest. Another Russian fighter that's being juiced right now, Said Nurmagomedov versus Daniel Willie Cat Santos. Negative 265. He's negative 300 on my books, though. So Said is given a fight he most likely should win, a big step down in his hometown. Said is a very well-rounded fighter who has amazing kicks, who can mix in his wrestling very well. He could struggle with pure boxing and with his cardio when there is a high pace or just him using high energy actions, like some of his crazy kicks. He is coming off a loss on paper to Jonathan Martinez, but he won that fight, meaning he is realistically 8-1 in the UFC right now. Daniel Santos is a very aggressive fighter who has more of a Muay Thai striking style. I believe Said will be better everywhere in this matchup and expect him to make this fight look fairly easy if he can keep his cardio in check. So let's look at this. We'll go to the UFC stats page. So just look at this guy, right? This should have been a win for Said. Okay, so like win. Like he's beating everybody. He did lose this fight, right? But Jonathan Martinez, he should have won that fight, and say it is a loss. Daniel Santos is not Jonathan Martinez. Said should win this fight all day. The cardio is the only thing that concerns me, and probably the only thing that will have him kept out of my safety parlay. But yeah, give me Said Nurmagomedov all day. He should have won this fight pretty easily. So Myktybek, Orolbai versus Mateusz, Rebecki. Orolbai's negative 275, Rebecki plus 210. This is a very good fight between two similar style fighters. Orolbai is very big and a good wrestler who also has decent striking for a wrestler. Nothing special though. His striking defense will get exposed by a good striker, as we've seen in the Uros Medic fight. He is coming off a decision win against Elvis Brenner where he was dominating until he started gassing. And that's when the fight got interesting, although he did win all 3 rounds. I know these casual YouTubers like Angelo from We Want Picks fucking complete duck this guy, man. Can't stand some of the shit he says. Yeah, he doesn't take fights into context, right? He doesn't take that into consideration. But Elvis Brenner took Orolbai down 3 times in that fight, like Angelo said, but he didn't break shit down to you like none of these YouTubers do. They don't break it down in context. He took Orolbai down 3 times in that fight, which all happened to be in the 3rd round when Orolbai was gassed and also up 2 rounds. But Orolbai also kept standing up. So Mateusz Rebecki is a nasty wrestler who completely death-gassed in his last fight against Diego Ferreira. Rebecki, when on the feet, will just throw wild overhands trying to get that knockout finish or to set up his takedown. This is an interesting fight here as both fighters are very similar. I think this fight all comes down to whoever has the better striking and who can get the takedowns, if they shoot. I think Rebecki is really good if he doesn't gas out. That is the big question and what I'm afraid of. He might just gas out with the resistance that Myktybek Orolbai is going to present. Give me Myktybek Orolbai with extremely low confidence at the moment. I'm going to keep looking into this fight. I have to do some more film study on it. We'll see. I'm probably going to stick with Orolbai. I just think he has the cleaner striking, I guess. Even though Rebecki probably has the more dangerous striking, if that makes sense. But yeah, just take fights into context, please, guys. Don't think just because Brenner took down Orolbai when he was completely fucking exhausted, that means Orolbai has no fucking takedown defense and Rebecki's just going to take him down at will whenever he wants to just maul him. Could he? Maybe. We haven't seen Orolbai against real wrestlers, right? Like Rebecki's a really good wrestler, so he might do that. But the fact is we've never seen a fresh Orolbai in the first round, just like against a good wrestler. So yes, that's why people say MMA math. MMA math only works when you put it into context, and the context adds up. So just remember that next time you look into some of these fights. Context versus MMA math equals success. That's all I want to say to you guys. That's very valuable. Don't listen to a lot of these YouTubers that are just going to talk out of their ass that don't put context into play, because that's the most important part when you break down fights is context. So this is a fight where MMA math should add up, right? You got Geoff Neal versus Raffael dos Anjos. So Neal is negative 310. Dos Anjos is plus 250. 2 veterans in the game here with the former champion on RDA and Geoff Neal. Geoff hands a steel Neal, who has a win over Bilal Muhammad. RDA is on the tail end of his career, losing 3 of his last 4. Neal has some legendary takedown defense, as we've seen Bilal go 0 for 7 on takedowns and Shavkat go 0 for 4 on takedowns. So I doubt RDA will be able to get Neal down here. RDA is a grappler with decent striking but no takedown defense, as we've seen him just get manhandled as of late. Obviously, the takedown defense probably won't be a concern because I don't think Neal's going to be taking him down. But anyways, I assume this is a stand-up fight, and I believe Geoff Neal is the better striker in this matchup. So give me Geoff Neal here, as I'm pretty confident he'll pick up the win. Another one of those fights that's you just don't want to touch. You don't want to put in your safety parlay. Like, Neal should be a lock, right? Kennedy should be a lock. Saeed should be a lock. For some reason, all 3 of those fights scare me just a little bit. But like we've seen, Bilal Muhammad is a way better wrestler than RDA. Couldn't take him down. And you're like, oh, that's years ago, whatever, right? Shavkat, probably a way better wrestler than RDA. That was Geoff Neal's last fight, I think. Let me see. Okay, sorry, that was 2 fights ago, right? Look at this. Shavkat could not get Geoff Neal down. He had to outstrike him. And you look at RDA, he's not really doing none of this. Like, he's getting beat by Vicente Luque through 5 rounds. Unanimous decision. Mateusz Gamrot, 11 takedowns on him. Obviously, context, whatever. His only win over the past 2 years is Brian Barberena. I get Moicano's a good win. That could scare you, right? I'm pretty confident in Geoff Neal. I think he's the better striker here, and I don't think RDA is going to be able to get him down. Very confident Neal, but like I said, something's telling me to stay away from. So we got Shara Bullet versus Armen Petrosyan. We got 2 really good strikers here. Shara, -185. Petrosyan, +155. Shara's the hometown guy here. The UFC wants him to win this fight. We'll get into the breakdown, then we'll tell you guys what we think. This is an exciting fight between 2 really good strikers. Shara is the one-eyed man with amazing kickboxing who has 0 grappling whatsoever. His striking is solid, but his head movement worries me. Petrosyan is also a very good kickboxer with no takedown defense as well. His only 2 losses in the UFC are to grapplers. This will be a stand-up fight that will be very close, but I believe Shara Bullet's pressure will be the difference in this fight. Also, with this fight being in Abu Dhabi, best believe that the decision will go to Shara Bullet. So we've seen this before. Usman, in my opinion, clearly beat Khamzat, but the decision was unanimous to Khamzat. Or was it? No, it was a majority. I think it was majority to Khamzat. But anyways, Shara should get the decision here. I just think on the feet, both really good kickboxers. Speed's going to matter here, and Shara Bullet's going to be the way faster fighter in this one, in my opinion. So expect Shara Bullet to pick up the win, but I do like the over 2.5 here, which I think is -250 right now. So that's a good play if you want to play anything. I got Shara Bullet by decision. So we got Magomed Ankalaev here versus Alexander Rakic, and we're going to break this down. If you guys, we want picks, obviously very popular page, most people watch. We're not going to be like them. We're not going to be like Angelo, who wants to shit on fighters and be unbiased and not tell you guys how the fight really is. He gave you a false breakdown on this, saying he didn't beat Johnny Walker in his first fight, but he didn't give you the context. Once again, that fucking brainless idiot didn't give you the fucking context. The Johnny Walker fight, illegal knee, right? So it was a no contest. Dumb fuck. He was on his way to beating Johnny Walker. What happened in the rematch? Smoked Johnny Walker. Magomed Ankalaev is an exciting ass fighter, right? And he also said something about Yan beat him. No, he fucking didn't. It was a clear bad decision. Ankalaev beat Yan. After the first 2 rounds, was pretty fucking dominant once he started using his wrestling, right? He made Yan look like a little baby and just fucking mauled him. But anyways, let's get to the breakdown. Magomed Ankalaev is the real champ at 205. He is a fantastic wrestler along with fantastic kickboxing. I don't know if he honestly has any real weaknesses besides his leg being hurt in that fight where he won in dominant fashion, but was robbed by the judges. I will say though, his leg kick defense has been a concern, so I would prefer he wrestle Rakic in this fight, but we'll see what happens. I think he's good either way. Rakic is a tough middle of the pack fighter with very real striking. He has never beaten any legit contenders, but has beaten stepping stone type fighters like Anthony Journeyman Smith and a washed Thiago Santos. Rakic is a very good fighter, but I don't think he could beat someone on the caliber of Magomed Ankalaev. He is too well-rounded and will be better anywhere this fight goes. I expect a late finish in this fight once Rakic slows down, just so Ankalaev can prove that statement that he deserves to maul Alex next. Ankalaev's the pick all day here. So obviously Rakic has great leg kicks. Ankalaev struggles with leg kicks, right? That's the one cause of concern. But I think Magomed Ankalaev is the better striker. And I think he is the better wrestler. I think he's just better anywhere this fight goes. And I think he's looking to prove a statement. This is the best 205er on the planet. He's the best in the world right now. And look at this. So you look at his whole record, right? This isn't a loss. This is a no contest. He was going to beat him. He should have beat Jan Blachowicz. They gave it a draw. Bad decision, okay? So he's... Hold on. This loss right here to Paul Craig, though, this one right here, he was mauling him, and literally with 1 second left, he tapped. It seemed like a fix. I don't know what happened there. Don't count it. It was fluke, okay? It was fluky. So he's beaten Paul Craig, who's basically, he was dominating Paul Craig, okay? That's a good fighter. He obviously freaking slept Ion Kutalaba both times, okay? Nikita Krylov, top guy. He beat him, right? Used his wrestling. And you look at Nikita Krylov, he's good. He's ranked in the top 10. I want to say top 10 still. But he's good. He beat Ryan Superman Span. He's beat Volkan Oezdemir. He's beat, obviously, older Gustafsson. But he lost to Paul Craig, right? He lost, whatever. He beat Johnny Walker. He lost to Glover, but that was a split decision. So it's like, this guy's good. He's a good fighter. Who else does he beat? Volkan Oezdemir. He beat Volkan Oezdemir. Mixes takedown, but he striking with him, right? He obviously beat Thiago Santos, whatever. It's kind of wash. Beat Anthony Smith. He should have beat him. He dominated him. He mauled him like he should have. I want to say he beat Jan Blachowicz, but we'll go with the draw, whatever. He didn't lose that fight. He was on his way to beating the fuck out of Johnny Walker, whatever. Rematch, beat the living fuck out of him. Knocked him out. Yeah, man, he's... Honest truth, I think he's 21-0. In my opinion, he's 21-0. Undefeated Dagestani versus Alexander Rakic, who is good, right? 85% takedown defense. I know you guys are going to look at that, but let's keep the context into play here. Who has he fought? Tell me who he's fought that's a real wrestler. You probably can't. Who has the wrestling that Magomed Ankalaev has? Probably nobody. Like, I really don't even know who he stuffed takedowns from. Like, this dude, this is a long time ago. He's a washout. He took him down 2 times, right? I don't know. I just think if Ankalaev uses wrestling, I think he's going to get him down, gas out Rakic, and he's going to fucking devastate him with elbows in the 2nd or 3rd round. So give me Magomed Ankalaev here by 2nd or 3rd round KO. I think he's going to butcher him from on top, and the ref's going to pull him off, and he's going to get that title fight next with Alex Pereira. So this is another fight I really love on the card. We have 50K Dan Ige versus Lerone Murphy. If you guys don't know who Dan Ige is, nothing but respect to this guy. The Diego Lopez fight, the Diego Lopez lost his last fight. He took on, I want to say it was like, 6 hours notice? Brian Ortega pulled out because whatever happened, medical issue, whatever. So literally 6 hours notice, this dude pulls up and fights. Just fucking unheard of. Lerone Murphy's an undefeated prospect, 14-0. He's really good. Lerone Murphy is a really good English prospect that is a very good striker and can also mix in his wrestling if he needs to. He has very good cardio, as shown in his last fight where he dominated Edson Barbosa over 5 rounds. Dan Ige is a solid boxer with poor takedown defense, which could play a part in this matchup. I believe Murphy's pressure and volume will be too much for Ige, along with him mixing in his takedowns at the end of every round just to make sure he could secure a win in every round, right? Give me Lerone Murphy here, as he is one of my more confident picks on the card. We've seen how, I know it's Edson Barbosa, but we've seen how good he looked. We've seen he has the cardio, and he can mix in wrestling. I just think he has the striking, right? So we look at Kyler Phillips and Rob Font. Okay, you can compare that fight, whatever. Lerone Murphy is way better than Kyler Phillips. He's not going to gas. He has the striking when he's on the feet, but I think it's mainly going to stay on the feet because he's a legit striker. Kyler Phillips is not. He should be the better striker on the feet. You obviously have to worry about Dan Ige's power, right? He won't put out Dan Ige, that's a fact. So if he wins, it's 100% by decision, nothing else, unless there's a fluky injury. But Murphy will also mix in the takedowns, I believe. And Dan Ige does get to his feet pretty well, right? Except against really good wrestlers, which Murphy's not a really good wrestler, but his wrestling's good enough. He'll be able to get him down if he needs to, but he won't be able to keep him down. That's why I think he'll strike with him, whatever, do his little thing, pressure. And at the end of every round, he'll shoot that takedown just because it looks good in the all the judges' scorecards or whatever in the judges' eyes. Yeah, give me Lerone Murphy by decision. Also, I love over 2.5 here. Over 2.5 is -285, -275. One of those should be safe to parlay with whatever you guys want to parlay it with. So we have Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev, which I cannot wait for this fight. We get to see if Khamzat's the real deal or if Robert Whittaker could possibly get his title shot back. His title back. I don't know why I said title shot. But get the title shot to get his title back is what I meant. So you got Khamzat Chimaev at -225, who's the hometown guy once again, versus Robert Whittaker, who's +185. Khamzat is an absolute specimen the UFC wants to win. He is one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, if not the best, as we've seen in his last fight as he mauled Usman in the wrestling exchanges, although I do believe he lost that fight. His cardio was much improved in that fight, as was his striking, but I do not think the striking is all that great. And like I said with context, his cardio looked a lot better, I think, because he pushed the pedal in that first round. He didn't get the finish. He stopped really shooting. He wasn't really, he kind of just stood back, whatever, which could be a cause for concern with his cardio. He can't push that wrestling pace, which is what he's going to have to do here against Robert Whittaker, as he's not the better striker. He's going to have to push a wrestling pace for all 5 rounds. Like I said, it's a 5-round fight. So that's the cause for concern. And if you pick Khamzat, you're hoping he gets a finish, because I don't think his cardio is going to last for 5 rounds. And that makes Robert Whittaker a very real live dog. Whittaker will be the far superior striker, like I said, in this fight, as well as having decent wrestling. I believe Khamzat will be able to take down Whittaker whenever he wants and will look like the greatest UFC fighter ever to exist if he does not gas. And that's the big question, like I said. Will he gas? Will he not? That's really all it comes down to. Khamzat should win the first round. Probably win the first half of the second round. But if he doesn't finish, I love the live bet on Whittaker. Like I said on Darren Elkins last week, live bet it after the first round. You'll get better value, and you did. Robert Whittaker, if this goes over 1.5, just pay attention to how the fight goes. My Patreon, we have our live bets on there, so it'll send you an update if we live bet it. But yeah, if he survives that first 8 minutes, it's going to be Robert Whittaker's fight to lose. I don't think Khamzat's cardio is that good. I don't think it's going to hold up over 25 minutes. But like I said, don't bet it before the fight. Bet it live, because the value is going to be all on Robert Whittaker if Khamzat doesn't get the finish. So yeah, I would say either Khamzat 1 or 2, and if he doesn't get it in the first 2 rounds, Robert Whittaker is going to take over the fight, maybe finish it late. But yeah, I'm undecided here. I know on my Patreon it says I have Khamzat, but that's just because I give you guys a pick. I'm undecided right now. I guess I'm leaning Khamzat, but I think Whittaker has a real shot. And I'm going to look at the value live to see what we get in the middle of the second round after Khamzat gasses. Another fight I absolutely can't wait for. Ilia Topuria versus Max, the Blessed Express Holloway. We got Max at +195. Show the guy some fucking respect. And we got Ilia at -250. This is an amazing fight that I am really looking forward to here. Max is a volume striker with non-stop cardio and the best chin we've ever seen. Keep that in mind too when I tell you this next bet. The best chin we've ever seen. And how does Ilia win fights? That's context, right? He has been around for a long time, beating the who's of this division. His only losses in the UFC are to Dustin Poirier, who's much bigger and probably has more power than Ilia. Conor McGregor, a lot of power, probably more power, if not as much power as Ilia. Dennis Bermudez and Volk 3 times, right? The combination we see is that Max struggled defending takedowns and struggled against the more powerful guys who are also technical and won't let Max back them down. Ilia is that guy with technical boxing, powerful striking, will pressure, and is also very good on the ground if he wants to use it. We'll see. I think he will use it. He said he's going to use it, and I trust what guys say. Well, some of the times just you have to read people. I believe Ilia is a nightmare matchup for Max and will win this fight, win it by decision. I believe Ilya will use his whole game in this fight. We'll be constantly looking to get Max down this fight. I like Ilya here, but it's a low confidence pick, I would say. Max is pretty good. Maybe it's medium. Max is really good. I'll probably go, my bet's probably going to be Ilya Topuria by decision here. But once the fights start getting later, Max is still there after he's taking Ilya's best punches on the feet. Max's pressure is going to be a lot, and I think Ilya's wrestling is good. But what is going to be what's going to have to save him? I'm not betting these guys, though. The best bet on this fight, in my opinion, which I'm going to bet live with you guys, Ilya Topuria is not knocking out Max Holloway. Max Holloway took the best punches from Dustin Poirier, who's a whole weight class above. He's way bigger than Ilya. He took those punches. He didn't get knocked out. He took Justin Gaethje's punches, who's way more powerful than Ilya Topuria, because he's way bigger, right? He took Conor McGregor's punches. He ate them. Like, this is the best chin right here we've ever seen in our lifetime. Ilya Topuria has power, and that's what's scaring people away from this, but he's not knocking Max out. I don't see Max knocking him out. If there is a finish, I would say it comes from the Max Holloway side, which is probably unpopular, but true. We're going to do this right now as we speak. I was just looking at a bunch of NBA. I don't even bet NBA, I was just looking. So here it is, the UFC. Let's find the fight. Here it is. Over 4.5 is pretty safe too. This is the fight, the bet I like a lot, a plus 140. I just don't get it. We'll probably put 30 on it, plus 140. We're doing it live for you guys. I think this is going to get juiced, to be honest. So the $30 on it, that should be a steal in my opinion. I just don't understand it. It's kind of like the Bilal Muhammad fight. We told everybody to bet going the distance at negative 170. Everybody's, oh, I'm scared of Leon's head kick. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that. That was obviously much safer than this because Ilya's actually a finisher. But this fight should go decision. I just don't see Max getting knocked out. I don't see Ilya getting finished. I think they're both tough as hell. So give me that fight goes the distance right there at plus 140. We might even play a little bit of Ilya's decision, depending. It could be like plus 500 or something, which would be crazy. So if it is, we'll play that. But we'll see what we do later on in the week. Just make sure you guys are signed up for the Patreon. We're obviously not forcing you to, but make sure you're signed up for the Patreon if you want all the live updates. I don't have time to make a shit ton of YouTube videos, so that's why I have a Patreon for you guys, because it's quick and easy to update for you guys to see what I do, and you guys can copy what I do. But yeah, probably a lot of overs and unders here in this fight, on this fight card. I'm rooting for Max, obviously. I'm rooting for Kamzat. I'm rooting for Shara Bullet, Ankalaev, Lerone Murphy. Hopefully those guys win. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will probably be our most confident picks video. But yeah, I'll probably see you guys, we'll say Wednesday or Thursday with our most confident picks video. Yeah, sorry about last week, but I'm telling you this week we should win you guys money if there's no fluky bullshit. Last week was on me. I just shit the bed. I don't usually bet fights like that where it's a lot of people making big steps up. I know better than that, so that's my fault. But yeah, let's bounce back this week.